people can't afford to buy and pay their mortgage. People can't afford rent. And the reason why they can't afford rent, my assessment is, and tell me if I'm correct, when you, like let's say you're at McDonald's or a drive-through and they increased, the minimum wage to $20. Well, the consumer is going to get a hamburger that's double. Just to let you know, because you should know.
Hey, my name is Mark Powell. I'd like to welcome you to the Just to Let You Know podcast. I'm here with my brother Frank, and today we're going to interview Jordan Marks, the San Diego County assessor, clerk, and...
Oh, come on.
I do know it.
You're in real estate. When you do this, you get paid.
No, assessor, clerk, and recorder.
Recorder, county, that's right.
Yeah.
County
recorder.
Is it the wrong?
And commissioner of civil marriages.
And the commissioner.
Oh,
that means if you want to get married, you can go to the county and you get married.
How come you don't
Frank,
make it?
I'm sorry. We only do the civil ceremonies, not the uncivil ceremonies.
Well, let me ask you something. Hold on a second.
Go ahead.
Why is it so easy to get married? And when I want to flip around and get a divorce, you won't do that in one swoop of the pen. Can we reverse that?
I only do the happy stuff in life.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to go to a judge for the
Yeah,
other
exactly.
stuff.
Yeah, super easy to
You know
get
what's
married.
weird about
Not
going
that
to the
hard.
clerk's office and getting married? Statistically, 50% of marriages end in a divorce.
It's higher than that.
But
brother.
when you get into a marriage, there's no exit strategy. When you know there's a 50% chance I might have to punch out of this. So there needs to be some type of training.
Well, here's a problem.
But,
Mark.
there's actually a direct correlation. They've done studies on this, on how much people spend on their weddings and their rings and their other things, to the propensity to divorce. And turns out the less you spend,
the longer your relationship.
the longer your relationship.
So you're going to be married for a long time.
So the people that come and get married, we do 25,000 licenses I issue every year, and half those ceremonies my staff and I perform on site. So those 50% of those folks are better off than.
Well, you should do a stat like take.
I actually got married there myself.
Yeah.
I proposed to my wife. I never recommend this terrible idea, but it worked out for my wife and I. But 10 years anniversary coming up this December, I proposed, and we got married in the same day, and she didn't know we were doing it.
You got married at the county.
Yeah, so I called
Would
it
you
in
tell her
a
to-
garage. We got engaged and married in the
Okay,
same day.
I want to just say one thing because I happen to have been fortunate enough to be invited to Jordan's wedding. And I guarantee you, everyone will say this. It was the hottest day, I think, recorded in San Diego County history.
Well, okay, so what happened?
Everybody was sweating.
What happened was that I got engaged and married in the same day at a civil ceremony at the County of San Diego. And my grandmother called and said, "Hey, I need. Where was my invite to the wedding?" Well, it was a surprise, and she's on the East Coast. She goes, "I need time to go buy a dress. I need time to." And then my wife was like, "Hey, that was fun, but we should actually do some ceremony." And we had a religious ceremony that Mark said he went to.
That was a good
one. It was
one.
107 degrees in Hamul. Okay, lesson learned. When you book a wedding in September, okay, this is my tip that I tell couples. September's very hot in San Diego,
except for this year.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, people are like, September's hot? Yeah, September is very hot.
It's fire season.
Summer.
It's fire season.
No, it's not.
When I got married,
October is.
We just had the hurricane that came through that Hillary that never really landed.
Did you just hear that? I go, September is fire season, and he goes, no, it's October. You're splitting hairs.
It's September, October.
Because
it's
September, October,
let me tell you something.
Are
My
right
two,
next to
my
each
two
other.
friends. You're talking to someone who's on the fire department. We're well aware when the fire season
I thought he was
is.
a lifeguard.
We got brought into the fire department.
You know how many beach fires there are?
This is This is not some bar where you're coming to pick me up and say, "Hey, I'm a firefighter."
Hi,
exactly.
I got to practice.
Yeah, we're both married
How many
guys
fire
here.
rings did you guys have to put out with your buckets?
And by the way, I just saw the city of San Diego got a brand new boat for the lifeguards.
Yeah,
They did?
$1 million boat.
Yeah, I think the last time that boat was new was since Frank retired from the lifeguards.
Oh, it was an old boat.
You talk about throwing buckets of water on a fire, but now they have some really good. Yeah, they got a good boat.
Have you gotten to test it out yet, or what?
I just went out 3 weeks ago. Not on the new boat. There's one that's almost as good, a really good bay boat. That's when they're investigating that the death of the girl who got hit by a jet ski on a paddleboard. And
if you don't know, I mean, everybody, and we're grateful for your service. Frank was a lifeguard.
Yeah.
In La Jolla, At PB, that area.
He
was Baywatch.
Captain.
What's that?
He was the original David Hasselhoff.
He was, and he had a chest like that. It looked like a Persian rug.
What is this? Make fun of Frankton. First of all,
It's Frank. I've seen pictures. You got some abs and things I never seen from you before. So
well, yeah, there are a lot of filters.
I think he still hands them out with photographs. He walks around and signs it. Like
That's my real estate.
He had when he was younger. He had
That's his park
abs.
bench picture.
Yeah, instead of handing out business card, I hand out calendars.
The 12 months of the 80s.
Hey, Jordan, I want to ask you a question.
The 80s were good to me.
I want to ask you a question about marriage. How do people become ministers or whatever? How does like a private citizen marry somebody?
If you would like to marry somebody, the family code spells out who can actually marry. So your mayor, some elected officials have that ability. Captains of ship vessels,
right, and planes.
But if you want to marry somebody and you're like, hey, I want to marry my friends, I can deputize you. You can file with my office to become a deputy marriage commissioner, or you can go online and through one of these online churches, or you can become a minister. You could become you can go through the 7-year program and become a rabbi and a preacher or priest. But as a religious official of a church, you can actually marry. And so some people will go online. I've seen the Church of Dudism. I don't know if I'd want that on my marriage certificate.
Right.
The Universal Life Church. Now, I'll tell you, though, for the Catholic folks out there, and I've seen this, they won't allow somebody to go get the Life Church designation to get the civil ceremony because you have to get that from the church.
Right.
They will come and get a deputy marriage commissioner from my office. And so mine is the not religious related, just the...
So the priests are hardcore. What about the rabbis? Are they pretty cool about it?
They're territorial, to be honest. I mean, you try shaving off 10% of their income for the year.
Oh, God.
Tithe is supposed to go the other way, Frank. You're not
Yeah.
supposed to be eating away from the rabbis.
Anyway, the institution of marriage is still strong. But you're right. As far as a business, you don't know it's a business until you get a divorce, when everything starts to separate. Then you realize...
I feel sad for
what?
people who have to go through
And then you
that.
realize
It's
you
the
need a
worst.
good realtor.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Usually.
I know.
I'm going to tell
Right.
you, I do a lot of classes in the community on how to save money. And one of the things I talk about is we have these benefits for seniors now. Prop 19, it was passed by the voters. And one of the things that it's attached to, if you get divorced, you have a lower tax base. That means you bought your property years ago, your Prop 13, that's what locks in your property, that kept it low. One of you gets to take that and buy another place if you're over 55. And so what a lot of folks don't know, if you don't have a good divorce attorney,
You
in
lose
the
that.
agreement, they won't say, well, that's my client's. Or if you didn't have a good divorce attorney, you better get a good realtor because the first to use it gets the benefit. The other one doesn't qualify. So these are things, and having a good realtor that knows that says, hey, did you get the senior benefit as you're restarting your life? You know?
Yeah.
But the good news about Prop 19 is if you didn't get it,
So
now
don't
you
get
get
divorced
2 more
until you're
times in your life
55.
to use it, where before you only could do it one time. Anyway, there's a lot of benefits, but just, I mean, there's small little nuances as you go, and you're like, God, I got him.
Right.
So happy I got a good professional by my side.
Okay.
Did you see that, the Padres had a tough season?
Right?
Okay.
You think?
They had a tough season, but they get to, a little too late, a little sorry, but they actually had a good winning percentage going to the last 20 games, 70%, which was great. But now I hear that Soto is going to get traded to the Red Sox. That's
Is he
what the word.
really?
That's what they're talking about. So
Who are they going to get in replace?
I don't know. I mean, I heard they're going to open up their free agent budget and really Red Sox might be putting in a big order there. That's
I like
big,
that
that's
Hassan
that's a
Kim
blow.
guy.
That's
He's
a blow
good.
to the team, though. If that
It's a blow of the team, but you got to look at it financially. When you only have a couple of years to play, you can get out at any time with an injury. As a person, you got to go for the money. So
But I'll
be
tell
so
you,
loyal to
I was
the
just
team.
thinking about other things that had potentially been stolen from the Padres.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of this owner alert program I just launched.
Owner alert.
What is
yeah.
owner alert for the people watching?
Well, so we're the first in the state of California, the San Diego County Assessor Recorder Clerk's Office, to offer owner alert. It lets you know if somebody tries to steal the title to your property. That's your biggest investment.
Has anybody ever been successful at that?
Well, so in
yeah.
2014, there was an unhoused, that's the new way to say homeless,
yeah.
person
Unsheltered.
in the parking lot, lived in the parking lot of the Padres, and believed that Petco Park was his. So he legally, you can do this. You fill out the documents, and we have to accept it. He took Petco Park. And he was And so he walked in our office, and we worked with the DA, and we closed it down right away. And it took a little bit of time, but it clouded title for Petco Park.
Oh my God!
And he had Petco Park in his name, and then we helped unwind everything legally with a judge and whatnot. And
He owned the park.
I'm
That's
telling
awesome.
you. So the Padres.
See,
are
don't underestimate homeless people.
but because they knew
Smart
it happened
people.
right away.
Being homeless, you can be really smart and be
Right,
homeless.
Exactly.
Well, he was a very smart. He ended up getting institutionalized. Unfortunately, he was a very had multiple issues. But one of the issues was he thought he owned Petco Park, and so we were able to alert the Padres right away. I mean, clearly we understood what was happening. We were able to work with the DA to unwind it. But for the million other parcel owners, and we have over 500,000 homeowners in the county of San Diego. You know we're the second largest in the state, second largest county for parcels. We can now have a system that in real time, if somebody tries to take your property,
Right.
if somebody tries to put a lien on your name,
Right.
if somebody tries to do something to your property that you don't know about, or you get to see when they do it, like getting your home back.
Right.
People call my office all the time. Hey, where's my certificate that I paid off my mortgage? I'm like, we don't send you a certificate. The bank records what's called a reconveyance. But if you have owner alert, it will let you know all of this happening to your property, and it's free. There's a service out there you can pay for.
That's a good price.
But we're the first in the state of California. It's free.
Free's good.
You go to sdarcc.gov.
Isn't that www?
No, they don't do that anymore.
It's amazing. I was watching this YouTube video, and these kids at Harvard were given 5 questions. They won $1,000. And so they were asking them, what's WWW stand for? And this young lady was like, World Wrestling,
Wild World of
Wild World, and you'd be amazed how many people don't know what it stands for.
Only the baby boomers.
You don't-
But Mark, what does
Yeah.
what does it stand for?
It stands for World Wide Web.
Oh,
But we don't say www anymore. What we do is we say, whoa,
Oh, God. Can you edit that?
whoa.
well, so if you go there to our website, it
Wah,
takes
wah.
2 minutes to sign up. It's free, and actually, tax bills are dropped. They drop in October of every year. It has what's called your APN, Assessor Parcel Number.
Got
That's
it.
how we identify your property.
Right.
And you can punch it in along with your email address, and you can sign up 10 properties. So you could sign up your property, and for seniors like Mark and Frank here, their kids can sign up their property. For folks
guess
in
we are
other
seniors
states,
now.
We're seniors.
I mean, I'm just
We're
saying.
past
Yeah.
seniors.
But for
Yeah.
your mom, right? You can
Right.
sign up if it's your sister's property. You can just make sure you're watching the family, and it will let you know. And we'll send you an email with the front page of the document so you can look at it. Because in the state of
That's
California, what's called index. This is how you look it up by your name. So we do everything by name. So if your name is Stan Smith, you're going to be getting quite a few emails actually.
Right.
But you can just look at the front page and be like, that's me. That's my Stan Smith
Right.
property. And you can know right away and see what's being done, whether it's a lien from one of these vendors that are putting solar on your roof
Right.
Right.
to a bank giving you back your mortgage after you've paid it off. So it's,
So-
it's
so
really
any- so
putting
let's say-
power in the hands of the consumer.
Let's say you're doing construction in your house, and we know what a mechanics lien is, and it starts right when a person like drops off the lumber in your front yard.
Yeah.
Mark and I are both California licensed realtors. You know that. So the mechanics lien can start. They can do a mechanics lien before anyone goes to court. They automatically do it.
Yeah, and so that
So-
would
so
come
that
through,
would
and
alert-
you'd get a notice of it.
Now, what
right.
about the other? Mark and I deal with a lot of divorce sales. You only need
Yeah,
one
so let-
signature to list,
so let's
but you
say-
need 2 to sell.
Well, so let's say you're getting divorced, and
Right.
one of the folks decides that
Decides to
I'm going to
sell
go
it.
and sell it
Right.
without them knowing.
Right. There you go.
If you're signed up on Owner Alert, you're going to get a notice right away, and
Okay.
we're going to connect you with the DA's office. We're going to connect you and protect you. Now, the biggest thing is that a lot of folks are like, "Well, so you told me about it, but I still got to deal with the situation." Yes. If somebody steals title to your property, you still have to go through the courts to get it back and unwind it. But I'll tell you 2 things. One, you ever get a text on your cell phone, right? Frank's there having his In-N-Out cheeseburger with his wife
Exactly.
and daughter, right? And all of a
Sounds
sudden an
good.
alert comes in on his phone, $1,500 at Victoria's Secret. And Frank looks over at his wife and I don't know what that, and he's like, I definitely don't know what that is.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
You ever seen
So
Frank's
hit-
dresser?
So you hit
I can see
you hit stop right away. It stops it. This is the same thing. If
You can
somebody-
stop
if-
it?
If somebody has 6 months to take your property, okay, and this is what normally happens because people don't know.
I got
If they
you.
have 6 months, they can take a loan out on your property. Okay, well, once they've taken a loan out, you're really jammed up. So when you go to refi, and we saw this a lot when people were refining their properties when the market was at really low rates. People couldn't do their refis because somebody had taken their title.
Oh my gosh.
People now are like, I'm going to retire and sell my home. Can't sell your home because somebody had taken your title. They had 6 months to 2 years to do whatever they wanted nefariously with your property. Now we close it down right away. This is what protects you. But the biggest thing, and this is what I realize is how we're helping folks. When I bought my home, I was really poor. I mean, I didn't sit on a couch for 2 months. It's actually one of my favorite times. My wife and I joke. We had TV, we had Chinese food, but we sat on the carpet and watched TV together. It was great. And so my realtor said to me, hey, put up an alarm on your house. The neighborhood has some existing issues. You should get an alarm system. I go, I can't afford an alarm system. And he goes, I'm just to tell you something. Put a sign up in front. Go out and buy the sign.
Right.
And 70% of the protection is really in just letting people know that you have an alarm system, even if you don't.
Right.
And this is what it does. It tells all the folks out there that want to commit title theft, don't do it in San Diego County. Your San Diego County Assessor, Recorder, County Clerk, Jordan Marks, has this system for free, and they're going to catch you. Now go some other county where you can go do it more easy. Don't come here. And I think that's the biggest thing that we've done is we've sent a message to the cottage industry of folks that try to do this title fraud. I come to San Diego when you can go to another county and you're going to find a lot less resistance.
Let me ask you something about that new policy. I like it. It's working. You guys created it. Congratulations, Jordan. Why don't you make it automatic or automated where it does it by itself? I don't have to go online. Every property that you assess should automatically be in that program since it's free. Why don't you do it that way? So it's just automatic.
Well,
so
I'll tell you, we have these rules
like,
out there of opt-in for text messages, opt-in for emails.
Right.
And so that's your privacy, and we respect that. So I'm not trying to make it harder for folks or make folks put out more information because even 2 minutes before we got here, I got 3 harassing phone calls of, student loans, mortgage refis, and some kid in the country needs. They call and solicit all day long. We all have it.
Right.
The text messages from the different
Areas.
things. And so this is an opt-in program because you're giving us your email address and you're giving us permission to contact you.
Everybody should opt in. That doesn't make any sense why no one would not do that.
Frank, what we are doing, though, is we are making it easier at every step of the transaction for you to access this information.
Right.
And we are empowering great realtors like the Powell brothers,
Right.
lenders out there every day, the escrow title folks to say, hey, let me just do it for you while we're in this process.
Perfect.
And so that's what we're doing. We are putting it in the hands of the folks at the time of the transaction to say, from this day forward, Jordan Marks, your county assessor, and the folks at the county have you protected with the owner alert.
I think that's a really good way when we're closing a deal. I just thought of it. To tell the people, once you close your deal, the next step is to go on Jordan's website and get your get your title protected.
Well, I'm telling you, during the closing,
we've been doing that.
I know. This is a message for all the other agents that are watching us, Mark. So I'm acting like we don't know what's up.
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
we do it already.
That's why he's
500 pieces of paper.
Right.
The pink one, the green
500,
one.
try again.
Right.
Oh, we don't do that anymore, Jordan.
Let me give Jordan a big shout out and then it's going to lead to a story that I want you to share with everybody. So during COVID,
right,
Jordan kept his office open for people to get married.
Right.
He didn't shut down.
Critical.
But they had some rules where they couldn't come in the building, some of those kind of rules. But that same time, my daughter was clerking. She was doing an internship, and she had this document that needed to be signed by some guy. Can you just tell that story about what happened? Because I don't think anyone will believe it.
I'm going to tell you 2 things. One, his daughter created our owner alert logo. So when you go to our website, sdarcc.gov.
Shout out to Ariel Powell. Good job.
UCLA. Go Bruins.
She told me not to say her name. Thanks.
She designed our logo for the county owner alert.
That's strange family.
When you look for the green check mark on the shield, that's a Powell original.
Right.
Now, the other thing, so a little context to we stayed open during COVID. There are 58 counties in the state of California. And the governor issued a shutdown order. Hey, we don't know what COVID is. Shut down all government buildings. And we had 24 hours to shut down. And we had 1,700 couples ready to get married. I'm gonna tell you, I did the proposal and the marriage in the same day just because I was like, it's you know, let's get this done. Imagine all these folks that had gone through this trials and tribulations, their happiest days ahead of them. And so we said, as a team, okay, I have a great team. We said, how can we keep the building open, right? What can we do to honor our promise and deliver great customer service? And so there was an empty snack shop outside our main building at the county waterfront park. So outdoors in the park, right? COVID compliant.
Yeah.
And we were able to get Wi-Fi service there. We retrofitted it. We cleaned it out. Our team came in over the weekend. I mean, we did everything and fast-tracked it. And within 24 hours, we had opened up the marriage.
Vegas style, baby.
Yeah.
Drive through.
And through these 2 windows, we issued licenses and performed ceremonies. And we rebooked all the 1,700 couples to, hey, do you still want to get married? You know, because it was COVID, some people are like, I'm going to wait.
Can I ask you a question?
But more importantly, I'll tell you this. It was our law enforcement, our military, our first responders, you know, these young guys like Frank back in the 80s that were like, I don't need to get married yet, that were like, hey, but if I don't get married right now, my loved one, doesn't get on my insurance. The kid doesn't get taken care of. These are things that happen because you need to have a marriage certificate. And so for the military deploying on the USS Mercy, we fast-tracked those appointments before they deployed. And we took care of a lot of our military and first responders.
Very cool.
The EMTs in the back of the buses, as they call them, they were there and they said, thank you. You know, I didn't think that I would need this now, but as I think about potentially losing my life serving our community,
Correct.
I got to take care of the one that I love.
Beneficiary on there.
Right.
Were the brides all wearing masks when you took those photos?
So there was actually.
Can you imagine that?
We didn't allow family. It was 2 people. You had to wear your mask. Everything was COVID. We got recognized by the governor in the state of California for having done a great job. And guess what? We were the only ones that stayed open for in-person marriages and found a way to do it safely. But when we did our job, guess what happened?
What?
Somebody else said, well, if they're doing it,
we'll copy.
why can't we do it? And so Orange County went to the Honda Center, and through the ticket booths there, they opened up a couple of weeks later and said, we can do marriage ceremonies here too.
Right.
Good.
And then guess what happened when they did it?
Scale.
L.A., San Francisco. So we had leadership in our county, and it was really my entire leadership team, my deputy recorder clerk, Val Hanfield, Ernie Dronenberg, who was the assessor recorder clerk at the time. We all came together, our IT department, and we asked for volunteers. Nobody was mandated, and I had amazing leadership. A lot of folks have this perception of government employees, and they're like, oh, it's the DMV. I'm going to dread going in. My office, you're in and out in 15 minutes because I have leadership. And so this is the leadership that came together as a great team that I'm happy to lead today. But, I mean, really. And so we had, now you want to talk about funny stories. Okay. So, Prop 19 caused a lot of consternation, you know, for the parent-to-child transfer portion. Those are the folks that said, hey, I'm going to pass my house down to my kids. I'm going to give them the lower tax base so they can live in California and thrive. There was a hard deadline of February 16th. If you didn't do it before February 16th, you were under the more stricter Prop 19 rules. But if you transferred it before February 16th, you are under the more less restrictive rules. I'll give you more flexibility and giving that benefit to your kids and family. So a lot of folks were like, hey, how do I get into the county building? It's shut down. COVID shut it down. How am I going to do this and record my documents? So one, our office, again, took leadership. The state of California, we issued a memo. Hey, we are going to accept your notarization date. So if you go to a notary, you don't have to come to our office. We're going to accept that date. If you transfer the property before it, don't worry about getting into our office. Because a lot of folks are like, it has to be recorded.
Let me ask you something. Bless you, Jordan. He's going to
Bless you. Yay.
Okay, so
hold on. The second thing is, my staff and I walked outside the building every day, and we walked documents in to be recorded. So we showed up, and part of that team was Ariel Powell. And Ari, I said, Ari, this gentleman has driven in from Ramona. It's the Friday before the deadline. Like, this is his last chance to do it. I need you to go grab his documents, make sure everything's signed correctly, bring it in, record it, and get him in and make sure we help his family pass that generational wealth down. We protect them. She's all gung-ho excited, and she walks outside 4:30, 30 minutes before the bell hits.
Right.
And she gets the documents from the gentleman, and a seagull hit her with a poop
Oh no.
on her hand, on her shirt, and on the signature line of this document.
God.
And if the state of
Sure wasn't
California,
a drone?
in the state of California, if the seal is smeared or the signature is smeared, we cannot accept it. And he had to get this document notarized. It had his parents on it. He had to drive in an hour and a half. He was in from Ramona. I mean, and we're 30 minutes from closing.
Right.
And she calls me, and she goes, Jordan, I've been pooped on. And I go, okay, so come on in. And she goes, you don't understand. It hit the document.
Oh no.
And I go, don't touch the document.
Right.
So we got our recording experts out there, and we lightly damped the seagull poop off the document, and we were able to preserve the document without smearing any of the key pieces and record it. So that way, that person, they
Pull that
literally had
microphone
saved
away a little bit. You're
$12,000 a year
Right.
in property taxes. I mean, tell me what that means to your family. She was a rock star, and under pressure and having been hit by many things, people would have just started wiping. She knew better.
Good.
That's a UCLA Bruin right there.
That's right. She's UCLA Bruin.
Got the job done.
Well, I trained her. We had seagull poop training when she was a child.
Yeah.
I'd take her to the beach, throw seeds all over her and breadcrumbs, and then have her maneuver herself not to get seagull poop on her.
That's good
But
training.
that is the expertise of your assessor, recorder, clerk.
That was
office.
really good.
That is good.
No, because if they would have, if
we
she
would've
would have
smeared
wiped
it,
it,
yeah.
the guy would have been done.
Done.
Right. She didn't panic.
Would have cost him like literally thousands and thousands of dollars.
$12,000 a year in property taxes.
Jeez, can
Wow,
you imagine?
That's an expensive bird poop. That shit cost me 12 grand.
Exactly.
That is a San Diego story, though.
That is a San
There
Diego.
I am,
because
waterfront.
it's a seagull.
Yeah.
That is funny.
So let me ask you this.
What is it?
The
postman
right now,
out here. Rain, sleet, seagull poop.
fires. Go. So we have this. What I'm looking at is a future. Do you have any SOPs for this COVID thing? Because I do believe I'm starting to hear more of mask mandates coming back. Another stir on COVID. Buildings may shut down. So although we can celebrate what happened in the past, are you in place, ready to go in case this happens again?
So
An SOP would be
standard operating procedures,
Correct.
right? Well, I'm going to say this. One, when COVID hit, my staff showed up every day. We made a promise to the real estate community that if you get your document to our office, we're going to record that date. That is a promise that is not mandated. You can go to other counties, it could take 5 days. And I'm going to tell you, in a real estate transaction or refi transaction, 5 days could mean whether or not you got that low refi rate. So for every Californian and San Diegan out there that said, I locked in my rate at 2% or 3%, that now realizes the immense value of home ownership savings, right? Affordability. that
absolutely.
we were a key part of that. Plus, if you recall, during the pandemic, realtors were actually told you are non-essential, and they shut down real estate community.
For a little
At the
bit.
They
beginning.
did. And so I was a part of the team that advocated
Right, I know you
with
were.
CAR, California Association of Realtors, and the National Association of Realtors for the Department of Homeland Security to bring realtors back in. And it was pivotal because people had to move. They had to change. They had to do. And so you could do, through technology, online viewings and online transactions. And I said, if my staff has to show up, we have badges that say essential and must show up. I go, our customers that are part of this essential piece are being told to go home. And so we advocated, and we got the realtors back to work. And then we showed up. And my folks, I'll tell you, we had 20% less workforce and 30% more work.
Jeez.
And this is the government employees showed up every day and did not leave until 9:30, 10 o'clock at night until we honored our promise every day and delivered for San Diego County record high recording that year.
That's why you got elected.
Yeah, how'd you get such a good crew? Do you
Yeah.
do training with your personnel? Because it's difficult even for us to get a team of employees to all be on the same page and be dedicated. But I remember going to your job, and you got a bunch of fired up people. They're really good. How do you do that?
Well, I'll tell you, we set expectations really clear up front. We reward them and educate them on great customer service. But we take care of them. Like, I didn't want my folks getting burned out. We rotated as much as possible. We had flexibility for the family. I mean,
That's
COVID
nice.
brought all sorts of different pieces. Industry groups were kind enough to bring pizza to our folks and say, hey, here's some pizzas for you today because we appreciate you. And I helped coordinate that. Ice cream, little things, just, you know what? Those are
Right.
things that make people feel
They
good
matter.
and appreciated.
Absolutely.
And so we did as much as we can to appreciate our folks, and some people were like, well, you stay late and you did that for 2 months, you're going to get recognized. We're going to give you everything we can to take care of you and your family.
Super nice.
I have a
But
I have
for
a question.
COVID coming back,
Right. For coming back, what are you going to
we
do?
are seeing it, and we have different, people are like, work from home, don't work from home. We have key folks in my office that have earned, okay, that means they're high producers, earned that ability to work from home. That diversifies our workplace and processing.
Nice.
We also offer e-recording. About 80% of our transactions are e-recorded. So my folks can be in multiple locations. That is part of our continuing operations plan. If something happens and an office has a breakout,
Right.
we have 10 other people allocated about to make sure that no one office wipes us out.
That's good. It's like a logistical, the chain, supply chain.
Right.
So you guys have your own definition of a supply chain, but you got to go like, okay, what if this happens? What does that happen? So you have to have all these plans, and that's what good leadership is to think about what may happen and what happens if it does happen. And that's how FEMA started. After the two towers went down, like
Well,
we
I'll
have
tell
to
you,
react.
My folks were out at our Santee office. It's our brand new Santee archive and service center. And we had an emergency day where they ran through scenarios. We have a hurricane, and we have the trolley shut down, and throughout the day they start calling, this has happened now, what are you going to do? It's like one of those board games as a kid that you really love. My folks just are there, and we went through it. Oh, we didn't think about that. Okay, this is what we do, and this is where we have our emergency center over here. What other redundancy can we have in place so that way your life and your most precious asset is protected?
Let me ask you something about marriage really quick. Sometimes, every once in a while, you'll see people getting married, church is ready to go, the bride walks in, the dude just bounces, or vice versa. Have you ever had
We've
that
seen
in the
this
county?
movie, right? Runaway Bride.
Yeah. Has that ever happened in the county where the guy's up there, it's ready to go, and he just runs?
I had a couple of situations where it was iffy, and the Valentine's Day is the
iffiest,
Super Bowl
right.
of days, and sometimes you'll find people that are like, "Well, I watched ABC or KUSI in the morning, and I see you're doing weddings, and we walked in and got married today," and I love it. I mean, usually these are folks that have been together for a number of years, but we had our brand new Santee Service Center, great desert motif for getting married, and the gentleman, they had kids together, 3 kids. Forgot his driver's license, and you need your driver's license when you come in to get married. We don't do blood tests, but you need your driver's license. And his
Nice.
fiance blew her lid and said, "This is it." And 3 kids are following them around. I'm like, "What do you mean this is it?" And she goes, "I have been to." They drove to the local elementary school and were able to bring in a person
Copy.
to validate who that is,
Oh, no.
a witness. And we went and we did and they were set up to get married on TV.
Oh, no.
Boy, that was challenging. And then we had a young Marine couple. I mean, clearly young, 18. They paced the property for probably 2 hours before they decided to tie the knot. And he shipped off. And I was like, oh.
I'm out of here.
Yeah. So that's maybe the 50% that we're worried about
Yeah,
today.
that's incredible.
Do you think artificial intelligence is going to be a factor in the way you guys do your business in the future?
100%.
It already is.
We are,
Well, I want to hear how it is.
well, I'll tell you, in the appraisal work we do, and you don't have to look at what I'm doing. Look at what Freddie and Fannie are doing. They're already integrating artificial intelligent appraisal, right?
Well, I don't know if people understand what you do with your office does
So
appraisal. Explain
my
that.
office, we joke, we say we value you as part of what we
Yeah,
do.
we value.
We put a
literally.
value on all your business and home properties, boats, planes, and penguins.
Right.
And we put a value on that for tax purposes. So in the state of California, we have Proposition 13, which says when I purchase my property in a fair and open market transaction, that's not a pal brother to pal brother transaction.
Right.
But hey, I don't know you. Okay, great. You agree to pay 1% of that purchase price in property taxes, and that amount could go up to 2% per year. And I'll tell you, we constantly see different parts of Prop 13 under attack. The legislature has just put 2 initiatives on the ballot that will undermine Prop 13 and increase property taxes potentially. I can walk through that afterwards. But so this is what locks in your property taxes. And so we put that value amount, and then that locks in and it goes up. So that's what we do. So
somebody actually goes out to the property then to look at it, or does it
with
through a
technology these days, it depends on the property.
Right.
You know, if you're going to one of these cookie cutter homes,
Right.
we
easy.
have enough what's called comps. We
Right.
compare you to your neighbor, and then we look at what the other sold for. Okay, and then we look and see, is what you paid within this certain bandwidth? And that's what it is. We're a transaction-based tax system. So whatever you pay for it, we assume that's the value. You inspected, you went through the water heater's off, so you paid a little less. The
Right.
doors in the back have a little rot, you paid a little
Right.
less. Or there was a gold toilet, so you paid a little more. I don't know, whatever that
Right,
is.
right.
It's reflected in your purchase price.
Correct.
And if you're within this general band of what everybody else is paying, we certify it essentially.
So-
Artificial intelligence is being used in the same way. Now, the banks use it when you buy a property to get a appraisal done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, is this person taking out a $500 or these days $1 million loan? Okay,
Yeah.
average price $1 million, crazy. And is that property actually worth $1 million? Is my loan going to stand against
Right.
the
In
commodity?
case they
that we let
foreclose,
together?
we got to dump it.
Right.
We have to get
Am I going to
to
get $1 million back? And so the federal lenders are using artificial intelligence. Part of it is because in other parts of the country and even in California, that private appraiser can be influenced in a way that hurts minorities, that hurts certain communities, right? Oh, I'm going to this part of San Diego. That means it's going to be worth less because this is a
Right.
community that a brown community, a black community.
Right.
I'm just saying these are different. These are real conversations,
Right.
and there is inherent biases
Mm-hmm.
in the human appraisal, whereas a
Artificial
intelligence, you try to neutralize that bias. That's why Freddie and Fannie are doing it. Now, my appraisal staff are validating prices, so we don't have the bias issue in your county assessor's office.
That's
So that's one of the ways that we're neutralized is that you agreed in your own transaction.
Got it.
But
Well, how can there be a bias?
we are seeing this technology coming. Now, I'll tell you, Mark, this is the really interesting part. Technology is only as good as the data it is being
Correct.
provided.
Right. It could be provided bad data, especially with IE or AI.
Bad data could lead to bad results. So my folks have to constantly
Scrub it.
We're going to have AI in our office. It's what we're working on. This is already coming, but I'm going to have double the amount of folks doing the quality control.
Oh, good.
Right?
So,
We have the human eye making sure that the enrollments are proper and factual and accurate. So I'm not losing any staff.
Right.
My staff are just transitioning in how they work with technology.
right. I think that's true.
But a lot of it has to do with the proper recording of the sales price of the properties.
Right. The reporting from the banks
Right.
on the sales price or the reporting of the
Multiple-
condition of the property. Right? An AI technology might tell you what 3 houses sold for in the neighborhood, but my folks are going to be the ones that are looking through the property when there's a discrepancy. Right? Those 5% of transactions, which again, we're 1 million parcels. We're number 2 in the state of California for size of parcels. We're top 5 in the nation. My
Wow.
office, okay?
Top 5 at what?
Number of parcels.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
So I would say, some states use different parcels, like they'll put a nonprofit business in their parcel count. So let's say I'm top 10. Okay,
Okay.
top 10 in the nation is San Diego County. We are a leader in this area, but we have to make sure when we're dealing with this many transactions that if Mark is saying, I paid $100,000 less because you could see it's a teardown. I paid $400,000 less because it's a scraper. We're going to take off the improved property, right? The building's no longer habitable.
right.
We're going to take it down. My folks need to either an AI program is not there and trustworthy enough. My folks are going to be there on site.
Got
And
it.
commercial properties, when you get to hotels, right? A hotel is so different. It's not like a residential property. So I would say in our county, 91% of our parcels tend to be on this Prop 13 protection, and a significantly high percentage of them are residential type properties. As we get to this place where the 80s and 90s, where we started to see these cookie cutter homes, that housing stock is so similar that it's easier to identify and value.
Right.
It's when you're dealing with the Point Loma home
Right.
on the cliff that's deteriorating, right? These are real issues.
Right.
When you're dealing with the El Cajon property, where they've got
High
all
fire zones.
I mean, they've got all sorts of fire zones, and
Right.
when you start to have these unique properties, or Rancho Santa Fe,
you
or
humanize on it.
then
There's
you
a
have
lot
to-
in San Diego.
Then you have
of
to,
those.
right? And we have an affluent housing market that has a lot of unique components to it.
We have
Well-
so many different zip codes that have a super high sales rate as well. We have Mexico on one side, the ocean on the other side, the mountains. We have the desert.
Right.
Our topography is going to change everything as far as even the view you're going to get, what hill you're on. There's mountains here, like if you go over Mount Helix, that's solid granite, right? That's pretty stable. And then you got Mount Soledad, that's made out of sandstone that could collapse anytime. So you'll always need humans on there to see.
But look, if you're downtown
going
in a building, and there's 3 different types of offerings in the building, and there's 100, or 200 units, okay, you start to find the comps are there. So again, this will help alleviate my folks from doing the standard cookie cutter stuff,
And to focus
put
more
them
on
in a quality control position, and then transfer my team to more time on the commercial stuff. And again, my staff isn't trying to say, well, we need more revenue. We're just trying to say we're trying to get it right. We owe you a fairness. We owe you a duty to make sure that the value is right.
So that's a situation where artificial intelligence is not taking jobs. It's actually reorganizing the organization so that they're more efficient.
Make it more accurate. Yeah.
It's good.
Yep,
Let me ask you
that is
something.
where we, and I'll tell you, for the kids listening out there that are looking for the jobs of the future, we also need to hire what's called modelers. We need the
What's a
folks
modeler?
people that create the filters and the models that we use for actually examining properties, because it's the data input.
Got
So
it.
if you are a person looking for a job of tomorrow, understanding clean data, how to use that to feed the AI technology is extremely important. Understand the people how to program, how to teach the AI, how to actually evaluate, that's really important.
How to prompt it as well.
Yeah.
How to speak to it. It has its own language. But real quick, Mark.
You've been on the dating
What
app
our
with it,
viewers, I'll bet you what our viewers are mostly concerned on as far as talking to a tax assessor, especially if you own a house, you're going to buy one, is the Proposition 13. You just mentioned there's some things coming up that may try to, they're constantly trying to take away Prop 13 to make more money. That's my first question. The other one is, although we have a lot of assessed properties with the APN numbers, what's going to happen if you take an ADU and allow a lot splitting and then do an APN on the ADU? That could increase.
People don't know what an ADU
Frank,
is.
I'm just
Explain
going to
that.
say, I can imagine you're the guy when you go on vacation, you jam that suitcase full of things, don't you?
Of course.
Let's unpack it, okay? Because that's a lot there in the suitcase.
Yeah, and an ADU is a
Let's
granny
start-
flat.
Let's
A
start.
granny flat or auxiliary
Let me
dwelling
circle
unit.
back to that afterwards. Let's talk about there's 2 initiatives. So when Prop 13 was passed, people think Prop 13 just addressed the limitation of property tax. I'm going to tell you it's been really important. Most folks think, one, Prop 13 only benefits seniors.
Well, I think there's
Hold on,
people.
let him
Wait.
finish.
There's people listening in other states. They don't know what Prop 13 is.
Prop 13 is the property tax system we have in California. And I'll give you a comparison. So if you're in Texas, every 2 years, your assessor comes and looks at the value of your property, and then you pay taxes based on that value. So if
No wonder they hate Californians.
so Californians have been exiting
Right,
to Texas,
right.
selling for their $1 million home and
Right.
paying cash
Right.
$600,000-700,000 for their Texas property.
Yes.
Okay,
Screwing
that's
up
been
the
driving
residents.
up the prices 40, 50% a year in some cases. Well, let's say you're like, I bought my home for $100,000, right? I qualified because I could afford $100,000.
Right.
Now you're going to pay taxes in Texas based on $600,000, $700,000.
Yeah, you don't qualify.
And so
Can't pay for
people are going to find home ownership a challenge. We actually had that same situation happening in California in the 70s.
it. Right.
You had the little old ladies with their oxygen masks going to the mailbox. Can I afford my taxes this year? Right?
They were actually vaping.
Hey, they were vaping
California.
California. But, they'd open up their mailbox, and every 2 years they'd get a different tax bill, and they wouldn't know what it is. They couldn't plan for it. They couldn't budget for it.
How can you?
And so they passed Prop 13, and it says, no, in the state of California, that purchase price can only go up 2% per year. So you can predict what your property tax is in.
Or less.
And then you can budget for it, which that's what makes it all affordable.
Right.
Okay? And for a family like mine that bought our home in 2014, my home has doubled in value. but my salary hasn't doubled in value. My wife's salary hasn't doubled in value.
Right.
And so when we qualified with the bank, we said, okay, we can afford these taxes.
Correct.
But these taxes, if it was at today's market rate, I don't know if I could afford it.
Right.
And so really that has delivered access to home ownership in such a tremendous capacity. And again, it's not the 1978 people that are benefiting anymore. If you bought a home in 2009, 2010 to 2019, over that 10-year period, your home may have doubled or gone up 80% in value since you purchased it. Imagine if your taxes went up $8,000 to $10,000 a year. If you could still afford that taxes, or would you be taxed out of your home?
Right.
That is the beauty and importance of Prop 13. But Prop 13 did other things that people are unaware of. And so the state legislature is trying to roll back some of the protections from Prop 13.1. Prop 13 made it that initiatives, so in the state of California, we have what's called initiatives, where if we, the voters, believe something in our Constitution should change or our law, we can collect the signatures, put it on the ballot, vote for it, and tell the legislature that's what we want. Prop 19 is a good example of that, right? Now, the legislature is trying to change the rules to say no longer should it be 50% plus one, the majority, to pass initiatives, you should require two-thirds.
Yeah.
And it's going to make it much harder for us to have accountability in Sacramento. If we disagree with something and we want to overturn it, not just a majority, but you need a super majority, it's called. So that's one of the initiatives to get rid of and weaken Prop 13.
Because they know there's more renters and homeowners, and they're bringing all these people to vote, and they can get that. It's going to be hard to get two-thirds.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
two-thirds. Well,
it might as well be.
They want the two-thirds because the legislature doesn't want the people overturning them.
Right.
So right now it's 50% plus one. They want to make it a higher threshold
Got you.
because they're like, we know better. We have a super majority in Sacramento. Let's make it harder for people to overturn us. They don't like it.
Is that going to pass?
Well, it's going to go to the ballot. And so it's an education. I'll tell you why afterwards.
Oh, it's
The
under
second-
a
What are they
bogus
gonna call
title.
it?
The
Yeah, they also
second,
have
yeah, so the
Save
second
the
thing
whales and
Right.
whatever initiative.
kids need help.
Yeah, so the second one is it would make it easier. So right now, Prop 13 said, well, we also have to be careful with other taxes because you don't just pay 1%. In the state of California, you pay plus bonds and indebtedness.
Right.
So your school districts and your fire district, they pass different bonds,
Yeah, which equals taxes.
which can raise, right? And so Melrose and these other things, if you've seen now, I've seen some properties that have 1.7% property tax because they stuck everything on the homeowner. It's very expensive. But they want to lower the ability to pass a bond or an additional tax on your property from 2/3, the supermajority,
50,
down to 50%.
So they'll pass them all.
So that way,
Yeah, so get you on
make
the
it
bonds.
easier
That's
to
what they
pass more
do.
taxes on your home.
I tell people all the time, replace the word bond with the word tax.
Right.
Because people don't know what a bond is. They just think like, oh, someone else is going to pay for it. It's another tax.
So in my independent review, they want to make it harder for you to keep Sacramento in check and easier to pass more taxes on your home.
Right.
And so that is, and again, I'll tell you there are bonds that pass
Right.
because you have a high threshold. So you have to go and really speak to everybody in the community.
Well, the school
and
bonds
I used to
passed.
be on the bond review committee for the San Diego County Taxpayers Association. And we would say to them, who's your finance committee? Who's your oversight committee? Who are the people from the community that are making sure that you're paying down the bond when you can and getting rid of the debt when you can? And we've seen this in Poway. In Poway Unified, they had terrible finance and bond management. And so the homeowners carried this cost, not for the services that it provided, but for the financing charges that,
Well, they
it's
had those capital
it's like the
appreciation
credit
bonds.
card. It's like, the credit card. If you don't pay down your credit card fast enough, you end up with a 22% interest rate.
Yikes.
The voters of Poway got stuck with a very expensive interest rate, and the cost of housing got out of control there. They want to make it easier to do that, and these are what we have coming that will weaken Prop 13 in its original
Who
form.
would vote for that?
Well, and so Mark and Frank, you hit the nail on the head before, which is it's not what people are voting for, but it's what the Attorney General, a political person, says. Let me tell them a cool title,
Right.
so they'll vote for this.
How do they get away with lying about the title? Because the title is usually nothing to do with what.
There has been a movement to have the judiciary, right, the judges, independent judges, or an independent commission do the naming of initiatives on the ballot. that has been fought back by various groups that want to keep it so that way they can
they get to lie.
gamesmanship with the titles, because you have to explain to people. You have to spend money explaining to people.
Right.
And
It's just be a number. Bond, like
Right.
Proposition 15892.
Right. No
no
title.
nothing.
Right.
And you got to read it to know
Yeah,
what it
it'll
is.
say like feed the children. And you go like, well, I want to feed the children that can't afford food at
Yeah,
school,
right.
but it's not even about that.
I mean, it's pretty crazy. You go to watch these members of Congress, and they all come out with their, and the acronym that sounds really cool.
Right, exactly.
Like
SAFE.
the FAST Act and the
Right.
SAFE Act and
Right.
the
Protect.
the
So it's like
Protect Act.
some type of
Security.
protection,
It's always
security.
something.
Right. And I'm like, what,
you're
are
not
you a
protecting
business
anyone.
selling something, or are you just going to be transparency? They have
Right.
avoided transparency by having political salesmanship. And so that's where the voters need to be vigilant about what they vote on the ballot.
Look, I don't mind paying taxes. I really don't. I think you should pay taxes. But you don't piss the money away. Like, seriously.
Well, not only
Like,
don't piss the
and
money away, but there comes
spend it properly.
Yeah, but there's people that don't have the budget to say like, I love to pay taxes. Eventually, like you said, in Texas, what's going on, you get taxed out of your house, so you never ever really own property anywhere.
Never.
You're just you're
Right.
being
You always gotta pay
you're
taxes.
renting because
A lot of San
because if you don't
Diegans
pay your
don't have-
taxes, the government takes it.
They don't have these 401ks. They have a home.
Right.
And then they want to give that to their kids. And every day a slice gets taken out, and they're like, hey, this isn't, it's harder to achieve the American dream in San Diego.
Right.
People ask me what I lose sleep over. I'll tell you, I don't lose sleep over a great staff. I have a great staff. I don't lose sleep over my staff showing up and giving it their all, or, great customer service. People are like, please take over the DMV. That's our number one feedback on, right?
Mm-hmm.
These are all great things. I lose sleep over the fact that my staff cannot afford a home. They can't get the backyard, and it's not a pay thing. It's we are doing all these things to make the American dream of home ownership unaccessible to everyday people. And where we're seeing it is the kids, right? Your kids that go to school maybe in another state, they come back to get a job and buy a home, and they don't see that prospect here.
There's no way.
We've robbed our next generation.
The parents
of a
have to
vision.
move out. The kids can't move back.
And they have
the-
kids and
yeah.
grandkids. And where do the parents want to
So
move
when
to?
I was a school teacher making hardly any money, I was able to buy a house in Claremont. I paid $147,000 for it. That same house is worth $1.1 million.
Yes, that was back in 1960, though.
But it's true. And I'll tell you.
It was a hut. It was a
Yeah.
Thule
Mark,
hut.
you were
Mark,
you were a sheriff too, right?
Yeah. Well,
I talked to the sheriff's department. They're having trouble recruiting.
Oh, yeah.
You talk to the school districts, they can't recruit. We are like purging our workforce. And you know what people say to me? Well, Jordan, you can go live in Tijuana for $1,200, and you
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that should not be
You
our
can come
answer.
but you can
Right,
come
right,
to work
right.
every day in a tunnel.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to. The cartel will let you use their tunnel. You don't
Yeah.
have to wait in
That
the
should
line.
not
Mass
be our
transit.
Yeah.
answer. We should
Or
have.
get one of those motorcycles like
Exact-
Chapo had.
Yeah,
Go right
exactly.
across the border underground.
Our
Take a
solution.
Ponga.
Our solution should
Take a
not be
ponga
living
boat.
in
We'll
another
dump you off at
country.
La Jolla Shores. You can.
That's what those are.
You can swim
Yeah.
in. They're just employees.
That's-
All
that's-
those guys jumping off the boat at La Jolla
Yeah,
Shores.
those are Ubers.
They work.
Marine Ubers.
In some parts
They work for the city.
I'll tell you, in some parts of the country, they've actually brought in tankers and retrofitted them with housing, made them into apartments,
Ah,
and then
that's-
parked off
Well, let
the
me.
shore.
Okay,
They should-
really quick. Let me
They
just say
should do
one
that
more
with old
thing.
military ships. They should turn those
Hold
into
on.
houses. Can you imagine living on the Midway? That'd be cool. Have that flight.
Yeah, it's
deck on
called being a
rest-
sailor. Join the military if you want to
The
live on
Merchant
Midway.
Marines.
Exactly.
But listen to this. The other thing is that people can't afford to buy and pay their mortgage. People can't afford rent. And the reason why they can't afford rent, my assessment is, and tell me if I'm correct, when you, like let's say you're at McDonald's or a drive-through and they increased, the minimum wage to $20. Well, the
just did.
consumer is going to get a hamburger that's double. So when you say that the rentals are too high, it's because the person that owns the house has to pay for his taxes. So who's going to get it at the end? The renter. So he gets, just like the guy gets the $10 hamburger, this guy gets his rent raised because it's just out of control with the taxes.
And I'll tell you,
Is that it?
there's a couple of things that I've seen. Our student loan crisis
Right.
has crippled people from wanting to get married.
Oh, wait till they have to pay it back.
wanting
They
to
had a
buy-
3-year gig
Well,
they
and
have
so
to pay.
the
They're about
answer to
pay
that
it.
was, well, let's just deduct the amount that they owe on their student loans from their revenue so we can qualify them for a bigger house. That's not the answer. That's a Band-Aid. That's
Student loan.
terrible.
Right, it's kicking the
The
can down the
second
road.
thing is once you get to a place where you can afford a home, and we're seeing the home buyers in their 30s and 40s, actually single women are the fastest. You know, they get there better than the guys, so they're buying their places sooner. Okay, by the time they get there, they're in their 30s and they've saved enough money because they're paying $20 a cheeseburger along the way,
Do you want to?
and they haven't been able to save.
Want to hear a funny
we're
story
not
about
creating an
student
environment.
loans?
There's no way you can save these days. What?
So when Frank and I were in college, in the early '80s, when you got a student loan, they actually gave you a check. Like you go to the finance department and you get a check. So we both apply for student loans, and we get them. And we go out and we buy motorcycles. We bought 2 Yamaha motorcycles.
Yeah, but we got to school that way.
But you could use it for whatever you want. Now
Right.
you can't touch them. That student loan goes straight
Oh,
to
really? I didn't even know
No,
that. You don't
'cause
get a
I-
check anymore?
No.
No.
Well, we're
it
so
goes
broke,
straight
Mark,
to,
we didn't have a car, remember?
no.
Like, how are you going to go from Claremont to
The
SDSU?
motorcycle. But my
Correct.
mom was deathly afraid of us on motorcycles, okay? So we hid him at our friend's house down the street.
Yeah.
And then Frank sent his registration to our house. And my mom got this registration. He put it at our address. And she looked and she goes, she has a little bit of an accent. She goes, what Yama? What is Yama? What is, I have this Yama. You bought motorcycle.
Yamaha. I tried to convince her that it was Yamaka because she's Jewish.
She thought-
I bought a Yamaka.
No, it was a llama.
Yeah,
They just,
It's my piano.
I
board.
remember
Yeah.
that. She was
she
definitely
was still, she's
scared.
still pissed.
Yeah, she's always pissed. I'm kidding.
But no,
She's
but
a-
this is the
Just kidding, my girl's
This
happy.
is
We'll
bad
love you, Ma.
government finance, to be honest. The student loan crisis, you know, I really feel our job was not to give kids free loans in
Right.
the sense that we pay them off for you. Our job was to make it that they didn't have interest on it,
Hey, I
that you could access it, right? Instead
it.
of, for a good portion of the students out there, they're paying 6.8% locked in federal loan, and then they can't write it off on their taxes. Literally, the government is hitting our kids twice. Then
Yeah.
they don't want to get married because if they combine their incomes together, their payments go up. So then we have these people living together, like, well, and I see this. I see it in my office because they're coming in for birth certificates. I mean, we track
I mean,
this.
I live it. I have 2 daughters in college.
And then
jeez.
and then they
Yeah,
go
it's
to want to
crazy.
buy a house. And now, you know, first of all, I'll say, you know, 6.8%, 7% interest is something we haven't seen for a number of years and kids haven't seen for a generation. But I spent a lot of time with realtors that were like, hey, remember when it was 17%? But the home
Doesn't
was
matter how much.
$100,000.
Yeah, the home
you
was
know.
50 G's. You can't. It's not apples to apples.
So that's why
no.
when you go,
What's wrong
when you
with
go
these
to
people?
for the kids out there, when you go to college,
Yeah.
get a degree that's going to get you a job. Don't get stargazing or seashell counting or whatever that weird degree. Better get a degree where you're going to be able to get a job because it's just a waste of money if not.
Well, here's the beef. You got a guy that doesn't go to college. Let's say he goes into construction. He's working and working and working. Yeah, the other students, they get the loan. They go into an Ivy League school. They get to go to college. Now, this guy's taxes are going to pay for this guy who didn't do anything,
Yeah.
and he's been
Yeah,
all
he's
of his
been
money. He's been taking all the
plumber,
money.
electrician,
Why should I
all that
pay
stuff.
for this guy? He had the upper hand on me.
I will tell you, as
Because
an
it's
employer,
fair.
I'm
not
constantly
fair.
looking at how do we reduce the educational requirements, not because I don't want smart people working for me, but because how can I get you in to my office with an AA degree versus the state required
But a
BA degree,
Right.
and then I can do on the job training. I can do on the job training and
That's
teach
what
you
they
the
do.
rest.
Any high tech
And now you're
industry,
getting out-
Well,
Google, they don't even go to
One
college by
governor,
the time you learn
I
it.
forget, Governor Lincoln,
Oh,
Lincoln,
It's like I'm not here, right, Mark?
what?
He's just like Governor Lincoln, Governor Lincoln.
Frank,
like,
because
I'm
I'm going
just
to tell you
finishing
why.
a thought.
Because
oh my
I'm
God.
listen. If I don't,
Jordan, can you believe this?
if I don't,
You know, I don't do psychiatry. I told you, I only do the civil
Yeah, well,
marriages, not
he
the
needs
uncivil
one.
Frank.
marriages.
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
This is the WWE here, not the WWW.
He'll just keep talking. Governor Lincoln.
Lincoln.
Okay, what about this guy?
Now I forgot. Thanks. You
see,
screwed me up.
that's what I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Now I'm in charge
He
again.
filibustered
Don't
me.
listen to that guy. No, what were we talking about? Some governor?
No,
I don't know.
What the governor
Do
did
we have
was
a bell in here, like a ding, ding, ding?
I'm gonna tell you what the governor did. He made it so that anybody
Newsom?
who wants to, a governor, and I think it was Kentucky, I forget
Okay.
which state. He made it so that
Langford.
Langford.
Yeah.
Yes, he made it so that you did not need to have a college degree to promote up in a government job because a lot of the government jobs
Requires a 4-year degree.
and so he just removed that requirement.
He should.
Well, I think in California, in a lot of the jobs in government, you have to have a college degree.
You're going to college to learn how to do the position you're already in. You know it.
But
You've
to
been there
promote,
10 years.
let's say
Why do you need a
you
degree?
start off, you're
So this is what I'm working on.
Okay.
Is I have plenty of folks in my organization that have trained and are exceptional, but they didn't do the 4-year degree, and then they have a cap on them.
Right.
And we need to remove that and have a pathway that doesn't say you have to take out $25,000 to $100,000 in loans to have a good career in my office.
Hey, I like that because there's a bunch of people, even in real estate, they have a master's degree. You know, you deal with these people, and they don't know shit. Well, like if you really test them, they don't know. They just read,
who's one of the best realtors?
They wrote a
the guy
a paper.
The bartender. Remember?
That's it.
He was
bartender.
He was a bartender. We sold him a house.
Yeah, Ricky.
Yeah, Ricky.
Shout out to Ricky.
And he saw what we did, and he goes, you know what? I want to be a realtor.
Right.
That guy got an award for selling, I don't know,
he
gazillion homes.
Killed it. So good.
And now he has a team.
I think
yeah,
that's
his wife's a lender.
They're
They're doing well.
Passion.
What's that?
Passion.
You gotta have passion for people. I mean, you get all the degrees you want if you don't figure out. If you
I
don't realize
saw these realtors one time. They had a blow up dinosaur running around the backyard.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, those guys are good.
I
Hey,
like that is
Powell
passion.
Brothers.
That is
Right.
Okay, let me
passion.
give
You gotta have fun.
Since we're talking about college, I want to give a shout out to Jordan because people don't really know his background. Jordan is also an attorney,
He's a
and he's a
well-educated man.
UCLA graduate on top of it.
Wow,
So
a
Did you know I'm also a Miracosta College graduate?
No, I didn't know that.
I worked my way up. Worked at a coffee shop and at Rubio's Corporation. Paying my way through college here in San Diego at Miracosta College, and I transferred to UCLA.
Good.
And my debt, because I had spent an extra year working and going to school at the same time, working hard.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I'll tell you one thing. I appreciated every dollar I paid for my education when I had to work and pay for it.
Exactly.
Yes.
I'm the same way. We paid our loans back.
Yeah, we
we
paid
didn't
them back.
cry.
I'll tell you,
Like, pay 'em back.
You appreciate every
100%.
every
Because nothing
hour
of value
in
is
class.
nothing of value really is free.
But
A
I
few things
transferred to
are,
UCLA
like home
and
protection.
I left debt free. Except I had a summer travel trip. I went. I met my wife there. I do not regret that at all.
Who do you think has a better football team, UCLA or USC?
What a question. Do you see how he throws you off?
Mark, how do you feel about that?
Listen,
Yeah, exactly.
because here's what we got to do. Because I'm
I will
inviting
tell
Jordan
you-
right now.
I will tell you who has a better university
We're
and a better student body.
we're gonna
UCLA.
go. We're gonna go to the game together this year.
Okay, let's tell you.
No,
I love it.
oh my God, the
Okay, so
tailgates at you.
I'll tell you, since we're in San Diego, I have a 4-year-old son, took him to his first football game at Snapdragon Stadium. It was UCLA versus SDSU, and my Bruins, God bless the Aztecs, blew them out of the water.
Yeah, I'm an Aztec.
My son said,
that was painful.
Daddy, I can't see any more fireworks if the Aztecs don't score.
Right, yeah.
But I go, don't worry, I'm going to get you ice cream when the Bruins win. And he was a Bruin fan since that day forward.
Oh, my gosh. We're SDSU alumni.
Yes.
I like that one.
But when we were in school,
You know,
our
it
sporting program.
It just became top 10, I think, in the
Right.
nation for the best value of a public school. Really, SDSU,
SDSU?
it's
Yeah.
moving up the charts.
when we went, it was the top 10 in the best party schools.
yeah, that's why we're there, and we
Well,
contributed to that
now
reputation.
you just can't get your classes. It's also like number
You
one
see,
impacted school.
I couldn't get my classes back then. It took me 2 years to get one elective. It
Couldn't
was
get a
joke.
class or a parking
That's
spot.
because you had to leave the bar with Ricky to go
Yeah,
in
exactly.
and roll.
Yeah. We couldn't afford to get a beer. Remember how broke we were?
we were so.
We didn't
poor.
get the parking pass. We didn't get anything. We parked like
No, we were.
Alvarado.
Mark's
was
like, yes,
5
I'm in the
miles away.
fraternity. I'm in the fraternity.
Oh, we had no fraternity. I never even went to a
it's the
fraternity
No,
party.
we went to
Kappa
school and we
free.
went to work.
Yeah.
Schoolwork,
Right.
Yeah.
schoolwork.
That's when I was going through the police academy. We were doing that police reserve stuff. So I remember being a CJA, Criminal Justice Administration, and I would listen to the theories of the instructors talk, and then that night I'd go on a graveyard
patrol,
shift. I'm
yeah.
like, that guy really knew what was going on. Like whatever his theory was is wrong.
You know, I'll tell you, since you guys are law enforcement at your foundation and heart, I am worried about the current state of our criminal
Police?
justice system. You know, Prop 47. I'm watching.
Oh God.
So
That's a
I'm,
whole
I'm a
other
part of the
show.
county finance team, and there's different places that they ask us, you know, what's happening with the county when they judge your finances and whatnot. One is the downtown market. They're worried about a big crash in commercial.
Yeah.
Second is
Well, it's coming.
with crime.
It is
And,
coming.
you know, you see these videos of the Topanga Canyon Mall getting overrun by kids just running into the stores and grabbing stuff.
That's stupid.
But I'll tell you, I don't have to watch a YouTube video. I go to my neighborhood, I go to my Vons and my Ralphs,
Right.
and I see people walk out every time I'm there.
Right.
Yeah.
With food.
And so
I keep telling
I'm
Frank
trying
he
to
should pay.
Yeah.
I'm
Why?
trying to teach my kid right from wrong.
Right.
But two, also we as consumers are paying for that theft that's being done, and so I'm concerned. What are you guys seeing?
I can tell you. Well, Frank and I are both spearheading a program that we're going to announce in about 30 days, seriously, on how to curb this escalating crime, and it doesn't have anything to do with repealing or amending or Prop 47, because the politicians obviously don't want to do that. So we're coming up with a pretty decent plan. But we don't want to announce it today because we're still putting
Right.
it together. But it's
Yeah,
good.
somebody has to solve it.
But one thing that I do see that's
I'm
really
on the podcast. We could do a announce first time here only with Jordan Marks.
Yeah.
we could.
Come on, a little teaser. Give me
wanna
a
hear it?
teaser.
Well,
Okay.
here's-
And
here's-
if
want me
it
to say it?
involves the Powell brothers driving,
well,
I'm gonna tell
give
you
a
to
few
do it.
examples of stores that are not being
Okay,
assaulted.
so here's what happened. The Nordstroms in a University Town Center mall, these 7 to 9 people went in there and stole $140,000 worth of stuff. These are organized criminal
That's
gangs.
over $900.
I know, but
Full felony.
but maybe some
the
guy,
thing is
maybe
these stores tell their staff to stand down.
They have
they
to.
they tell them to stand down.
Not only that, citizens have to stand down, because if you're a citizen and want to do a citizen arrest and you
Yes.
try to arrest somebody, you're the perpetrator because you pursued that person. If you chase him in the parking lot, you're the pursuer. The cops are going to say you're the perpetrator. Let the guy go. There's insurance.
Well, I'll tell you,
you get arrested.
I saw a video from
no one's getting
I
involved.
saw a video from Riverside County at a Home Depot.
Yeah.
Where some
Oh,
folks
they stopped
tried,
them
and
there.
they hog-tied them with their
course.
I go, that's the
Yeah.
wrong place.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
Yeah,
wrong-
you don't want to steal from Home Depot.
But you go to UTC over here and you can run out
It's
and people.
open.
Okay, so here's what happened. The Target is going to have about $1 billion in losses nationwide. $70 billion a year are lost through theft. But
$70 billion.
$70 billion.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. But the one store, 2 stores, or 3 stores that didn't see any of these kind of shrinkages, they call it shrinkage, but it's really theft,
Yeah.
is Costco. The reason why is that you need a membership to get in Costco. So they know who you are when you walk in the door, and you have to show your receipt when you walk out. You just can't walk out. So what we're going to advocate for is having retail stores like Vons, Ralph's, Walgreens, Rite Aid, turn them into membership stores so that you have to show an ID to get your membership. And then when you go in the store, you have to show this card. You can't leave until you show security. Now, for those people who can't afford it, they get a free membership, but they have to abide by the rules. If you don't abide by the rules, your membership is revoked, and then you can shop at a non-membership store. So that way, it takes out law enforcement, because law enforcement is not part of this equation.
It's not going to get everyone, but it's going to.
Law-abiding
taper it.
citizens. Well, yeah, but then if you go in, you can't say I have a membership at Costco and bring 30 people with you wearing ski masks. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
You know, I'll tell you, Mark, you've had some wonderful ideas over the years. My favorite, okay, just because this hit me,
Feed the mayonnaise to the fish.
porch pirate, okay?
Oh,
Many might not be aware that the porch pirates are getting away at record. My kid's 4th birthday, you know how many people, a couple of friends call, hey, did you get the
Dropped off.
package?
Yeah.
They stole the dinosaur terrarium from my kid.
Ah,
Yeah.
Okay?
horrible.
And I didn't find out till a month later when our friends are like, hey, sorry, we were sick. We sent over a packet. I was like, we never got it. I'm sorry. But,
I had a picture of the guy.
you know, Mark had this great idea to start aggregating the value of each of these packages so that way when you tip the $900 amount, you could actually be
You add it up.
prosecuted by the police. The same way, but because people could steal from your mailbox, and if you go into my
It's
mailbox,
federal crime.
it's a federal crime.
Right.
But you take a package off my
Amazon.
porch,
It's theft. Why is there
The
a
guy
difference?
who stole my package, because I saw him on video, was so slick. He dressed exactly like a UPS guy.
Yeah.
He looked just like had the hat and everything, and he walked up there so casually.
Right.
The only difference was he was driving a Prius, and I got his license plate, I had his picture, everything.
They didn't pursue
I went to the police, and they go, "How much was it worth?" I go, "Like $100." It was a home fresh meal. It was a salmon one. It was a good one. Didn't have that. But hopefully it could cook.
In my mind, the fact that Sacramento and the majority party in Sacramento shot that down as an idea, just, you know.
Here's what you're going to have.
And one of the legislators, I remember this because I watched the hearing because I was like very proud. Mark Powell had recommended this idea to one of our state senators who carried the bill.
Right.
And one of the assembly members, he's 25 or something, I think he lives with his parents, he said, what if they need the package more than you do?
What if they need your car more than you do?
And then I thought, today was my dinosaur terrarium, my kid's toy. But my kid has asthma. What if it was his
asthma medication?
Medication. How do I tell my kid who's having trouble breathing that they needed that medicine more than he did?
Yeah, it's horrible.
And these are the things, and especially seniors, they can't leave their place.
Okay, who told you this? Who's the guy who said this to you? Wait, hold on a second, Mark. I'm asking Jordan because I want to know the person that told him this.
It was one of the assembly members from San Jose, and I apologize. I just can't remember.
Was he employed?
No, he's elected.
He's an elected official.
Oh, okay.
He was at the committee hearing whether or not to vote on this, and he voted no because he said, what if they need it more than you do?
Yeah. Oh.
There have been multiple attempts.
Okay, so I want sometimes you just got to hammer these guys and say, throw them out. I mean, how much of this bullshit you're going to take? Some guy goes, what if he needs it more? What kind of justification is it? You know what I mean?
I'm telling you, we're entering an interesting place around us. But I think most people are logical.
If you want to go communism, socialism, that's fine.
They just don't have time to watch what the legislature's doing.
Right.
Well,
or they're tired of it.
Right.
I mean,
but don't worry. When it comes to property taxes, I'm keeping an eye out for San Diegans. And I'm going to tell them the truth.
Well, so let me make another point, if you don't mind. Let's just take any organized crime, cartel. What happens if you go steal the drugs from people that are in the cartel?
No, you're going to have a bad day.
You're going to have a bad day, right? What happens back in New York when somebody messed with your restaurant, messed with your liquor store? You had people coming in and breaking in.
In the 70s?
Cops aren't responding. Who do you call?
You call not Ghostbusters. You call Don Corleone.
You call Corleone and you go, hey, listen. And he comes in and he goes, I'll protect your store, but this is how much you have to pay me a month. No problem.
Can I tell you something? Just I know this is just where the conversation happening right now with the city of La Jolla potentially being formed. Right? Have you seen this? Where La Jolla is considering whether or not
they want to
break free from the city of San Diego and form their own city.
Right.
I actually think it's that aspect of it. It's crime.
Right.
And the amount of police that they have and support that they have in that community,
right,
that might actually drive this to some sort of reality.
Yes,
right. I'm not
private security.
I don't have any special crystal
HOA
ball.
goes to private security, and even if, don't call it HOA because there are other people that don't have HOAs. But if you get all those community members because they have a lot of money, they're going to say something like, "It's not just because it's elite and it's white privilege and whatever it is."
I'm just saying there are communities that are concerned about the safety of the community, and La Jolla may be one of them. They're doing the studies, they're bringing the impact studies and the different things that they have to do to buy their way out from the city of San Diego that may become a reality.
Yeah.
Well, San Diego
because San Diego's, the police officers have their hands tied quite a bit.
Well, not only that, Jordan, this affects your business as well.
Yes.
There's a proposition by the San Diego Housing Federation. They're looking to put a mansion tax on the ballot.
2.5.
If your property is worth over 2.
I heard it was 1.5 to 2. That's what I heard, but
we had 2.5 based upon
commercial, and then there's residential. It's 1.5 to 2.
But that's almost all the homes in La Jolla.
There's not if the
average San Diego
house,
adopts it and La Jolla is a separate city, they don't have to
just
adopt
bring
it.
us back to some reality. The average home price in San Diego County is $1 million.
Right.
Right.
1.5 is not that far above $1 million in the housing market.
In LA, they called it a mansion tax. It was a total backfire because what happened is that people, before the proposition took into effect, they were selling their houses or getting them out. And the second that was implemented, no one sold. So all those revenues that the city thought they were going to get by charging them more money, it just froze the market. So once again, the politicians are they're just. You can't keep taking from these people that have houses.
There's a certain group of folks that they look at a 5% tax above it, right? The people that are buying the $17 million mansion that are like, yeah, that's okay. That's part of my cost
right.
for being elite.
Right.
But I will tell you, there are so many families that bought their home for Claremont for $100,000
Now they have $1 million
that will
house.
find themselves in a $1.5 million house that
Right.
could be affected by this. They are impacting the retirements and the investments
Right.
of regular San Diegans. Now, I haven't seen this initiative. I haven't seen the information on it. So, but I'm saying
Well, they're
get it.
looking
We'll
into
get it to you.
They're
at
looking
the
into it right now.
$1.5 million level, and even the two. I'm telling you, these aren't numbers. These are folks that have lived in Point Loma for years. They're not millionaires. They're barely making it to keep their own home.
Everywhere in San Diego is a $1 million neighborhood. Okay, so there's no neighborhoods that are not $1
El Cajon,
million.
Santee,
All of them.
Lakeside. I could walk you
Oh,
through
800.
every.
Well,
109.
San Diego is now one of the least affordable cities in the
Oceanside.
country.
I think it's the least, isn't it?
Chula
I think
Vista.
we may have been
Yeah,
number
Chula
one.
Vista's killing it right now. They're doing well,
But you know what? The home prices are $1 million plus.
right? So
How do you
And,
afford
and
that?
again, this isn't your home that's going to be for the millionaires.
right. No, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-house like military home in Claremont.
And folks
I
are
mean-
waiting for the housing crash, and I'm sad to say
What crash? It's not going to be a crash.
we don't have enough inventory. There's not
Right.
enough
Yes.
stock to lower the prices. That is what will lower the prices
Right.
of homes. Is new building, new homes. The most aggressive area that I'm seeing home growth of new stock is Otay, but
Right.
we're running out of space. I mean, if you look at San Diego County, 30% of San Diego County is developable.
Right.
70% is federal and native land.
Right. So you can build houses, but you can't build dirt. You know what I mean?
The space that we
There's
have,
no more space.
So
You
we're
d-
seeing the infill housing and different components added, but it's not at the rate that we need it to make housing affordable for the next generation. That's
They can't build fast. Even if they started today,
build
it's
fast.
just not going to happen.
It can't happen.
build enough.
Yeah.
There's so many
can't build
environmental
enough.
protection agencies. There's so many. I mean, the investors, because part of our job is look for investors. Hey, we got international investors. You think they want to come to San Diego?
Well, and so I will say, as
You
far
can't
as like
develop
a
anything here.
wealthy Chinese market, or we're
I
seeing
dealt with the Chinese. They bounced.
We are still an affordable coastal market, not for San Diegans, but for people that are coming from foreign markets. We are, and we're still a market that returns high rents and things. That said, we are not a market that has the leadership to build the houses we need to deliver it for the working San Diegans. Working San Diegans need somebody to say, hey, I'm going to get you a home, and I'm not going to tax you out of it.
Right. So that's why you have to cover provision back wraparound.
Yep.
Prop 13 has to be protected. You cannot bond or tax a person out of their house. No one's going to be able to afford it. So that's me. The big conspiracy is, are they trying to wipe out the middle class?
Well, and I'll tell you,
It's wiped out.
We are
They're not
seeing-
trying.
There isn't
We're done.
any-
and
There's
for
no
the
middle
current
class.
homeowners,
We're history.
by the way, insurance is becoming a very big deal.
The biggest deal.
Insurance Scripps just left.
It-
Medical, you can't even. You know the Scripps, the hospital.
Yeah.
They're not going to
I'm not
take.
talking about healthcare. I'm talking about like your
Oh, fire.
farmers
Right,
and your
State
reinsurance.
yeah.
State,
No, Scripps
State
didn't
Farm,
leave, but you know what they said?
Geico.
We're no longer taking Medicare. So if you're a senior, like
How
us in
nice.
a few years, you
Right.
can't go to Scripps.
So we can't get. Yeah. You just don't get sick. See, that's the trick.
You got to stay healthy. You
Gotta
got
stay
to eat a lot
healthy.
of vitamin D
But I am
and
seeing
exercise.
homeowners that are being issued non-renewals from home insurance
He
companies.
got one.
So here's what happens for people out there from my audience. When you want to buy a house, you're going to probably get a loan unless you have all cash. So let's say you're not the one who has all cash. You have to get a loan. In order to get a loan, the bank has to say, okay, let's assess this. They send out their appraisers and they assess, and they go, hey, hold on, you're in a high fire risk situation, and we're not going to insure you. But you don't find that out until you're already in escrow, because part of the escrow, part of the time you have from purchase to acquiring it, you have some time to get a loan. So now you're in escrow, it's off the market, you're in pending, and then the week before it closes, the insurance goes, oh, we did insure it yesterday, but we decided not to insure it. So you don't get the fire.
But you know what I'm doing?
Insurance.
You know what we're doing
If you don't
now?
get the fire insurance,
I always, because I just got a listing near a canyon, and I look it up
check
on
before,
I
right?
check before, and I go,
Right.
am I in a high fire zone?
Right, but you can also get fire insurance under the California Fair Act, but you're paying $17,000 a year or something. I mean, it goes up another $1,200
The
a
thing
year.
I'm going to say is,
I mean, a month.
If you're in a facility or in a housing unit that has an HOA.
Oh, your history.
HOA fees are increasing. Those
Well,
are
no kidding. You know
impacting
why?
fixed income seniors.
It just happened to me. We just went from $400 a month.
Yeah.
They found out they didn't have any more fire insurance. You got to have fire insurance, so you go to the California Care Act, you get all that. It's going to go up to $8, $9, $10, $1,100 a month for HOA fees.
Doubling HOA.
HOA. Your
It's-
HOA fees.
And I'll tell you.
No one calls it HOA.
I'm gonna tell you.
What are you talking about? HOA. I can just make shit up.
Just like WWW.
So these are the things that are
HOA,
impacting folks. But I will tell you, at the end of the day, you have folks. I'm trying to do everything I can from my spot at the assessor's office. We delivered record high property tax savings last year.
Yeah, that's
An
what we like,
additional
Jordan.
You're doing
$15
such a good
million.
job.
We're
Jordan-
doing everything we can to make it so people can thrive here and live with dignity, retire with dignity,
Right.
and have San Diego be home.
Yeah, and that's what Mark and I do. We constantly, I mean, really, we work for lobbyists. We work for the private property rights, to protect private property rights. And we fight and in between we sell houses. But our biggest thing is we advocate for private property. And that's why we backed you up in the
Yeah.
election. That's why we back up politicians that, hey, you know, people look at you now. You have the nice suit, you have the nice job, and you know what they say? Look at this rich guy, he doesn't care. They don't know when you bought a house, you sat in a beach chair for the
Right.
first year because you couldn't afford furniture.
Couldn't
We saw
afford the
this.
beach chair.
You have a humble, modest house.
Right.
You're not living in La Jolla.
No, I have a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house in
Right.
the college area.
There you go.
Right.
And
But they look at us now like, oh, look at those overachievers. It's like, no, we're trying to help you. I mean, Mark and I were so broke when we were kids, we had to put a Whopper on layaway.
well,
remember
guys,
that.
Remember that
I
one?
got to tell you, I've really enjoyed this. If I
I
can
love
ever
it
be
too.
of help to you,
Oh, we're
or
gonna bring
your
you back on.
clients-
Can we bring you back to talk
Yeah,
about
yeah.
more stuff?
And I always give my cell phone out. Folks can call me 619-372-0226. And my team and I are here to help.
Do you know we have millions of viewers? You just put it out there. I hope you're okay.
You're going to get
Great.
spammed.
I prefer text messages versus voice.
You're going to get spammed now.
What if somebody wants to send you an email? Seriously, emails are
It's
better.
very easy. Jordan, Jordan, .marks, MARKS, @sdcounty.ca.gov. You can come to my website, sdarcc.gov.
And we'll put a link on our description after
Look
this
for the
interview.
tax savings opportunities. Sign up for Owner Alert. We're going to get you taken care of.
Owner Alert, free
Yeah.
service. Get it today. Thank you, my brother. I
Yeah,
appreciate
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Good job.
Always fun with the Powell brothers.
Always fun, man. We
Always
have a good
fun.
time.